day. You too, brother. Senate will come to order. Mr. Schaffler, please call the roll.
Senators Amabile. Amabile.
Excuse.
Baisley. Ball. Bridges. Bright. Carson. Catlin. Cutter.
Excuse.
Danielson. Doherty. Exum. Frizzell. Gonzalez. Gonzalez.
Excuse.
Hendrickson. Judah. Kipp. Kirkmeyer. Colker. Liston. Lundeen. Marchman. Marchman.
Excuse.
Michelson Genet. Mullica. Pelton B. Pelton R. Rich. Roberts. Rodriguez. Simpson. Snyder. Sullivan. Weissman. Winter. Amabile. Senate District 17 vacant. Mr. President.
Let's do this. The morning roll call is 31 present, 0 absent, 3 excused, 1 vacant. We have a quorum. Senator Wiseman, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Good morning, members. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Baisley.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate Journal of March 4th, 2025 be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes still have it, and that motion is adopted. Mr. Schaffler, please add Senator Gonzalez to the roll. Committee reports. Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 190, 191, and 192. Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 78 and 85. Correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 58, 87, 170, and 180. Correctly re-revised, House Bill 1077. Correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 46.
Committee reports.
We're about to do moments of personal privilege next after committee reports, and that's it right there.
Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 158 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. Senate Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 156 be postponed indefinitely. Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 139 be postponed indefinitely. Committee on Finance. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 80 be postponed indefinitely. Mr. President, the Committee on Finance has had under consideration and has had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends that the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Securities Board for terms expiring July 1st, 2026. Philip McDermott of Highlands Ranch, Colorado, to serve as an individual who is licensed by the State Supreme Court to practice law in the state of Colorado and who is conversant in securities law, reappointed. Nicholas Budor of Eagle, Colorado, to serve as a member of the public at large residing west of the Continental Divide, reappointed.
Moments of personal privilege. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege.
Senator Judah.
Thank you,
Oh,
Madam
I'm sorry.
Chair.
I'm sorry, Senator Judah.
I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege. Now, Senator Judah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Members, my moment of personal privilege is quite personal to me. Today we have the privilege of welcoming a truly remarkable man, Abdulaziz, who is here to receive his first prosthetic leg from Colorado. His journey has been long, but one filled with resilience, strength, and hope. Abdulaziz comes to us from Gaza. Last April, his life changed forever when he lost his leg to an amputation. But thanks to the generosity of so many in Colorado, Abdulaziz is able to receive his first prosthetic leg. His journey to Colorado was made possible by Heal Palestine, a humanitarian organization dedicated to providing medical care to children in need. Colorado doctors, nurses, clinics, and medical professionals have all come together, donating their time, their resources, and expertise to ensure that he receives the care he needs. Among them are the dedicated doctors who are here today. Dr. Omar Mubarak, the head of the Vascular Institute of the Rockies and the former president of the Colorado Medical Society. Dr. Mohammed Kuzeyz, a pediatrician from Children's Hospital. Dr. Rima Wahdan from CU Anschutz Pathology, and Dr. Hanan Shaban, retired from the VA. He is the second child, thank you. He's the second child from Gaza to receive a new limb here in Colorado. It was also made possible by the incredible kindness and generosity of the Hanger Clinic in Colorado, in Inglewood. I would also like to personally thank Zach Harvey, who couldn't be here today, but is one of the leading prostheticians in the country who had donated 100% of his time and his skills. As Colorado Springs plays host to Abdulaziz over the next few months, the next team at the Abadan Orthopedic Clinic has stepped up to provide him with the prosthetic, giving him the chance to regain his mobility and his independence. Like so many kids his age, Abdulaziz is full of energy and curiosity. He has always loved playing soccer, swimming in the sea, spending time outdoors, and feeling the wind on his face while riding his horses. Math and Arabic were his favorite subjects in school, and now, inspired by the care he's receiving, he dreams of becoming a doctor, so he can help others just as he is being helped now. For Abdulaziz, this is more than just medical treatment. One of the things he's most excited about is getting back to riding horses, experiencing once again the freedom and the strength he has always cherished. None of this would have been possible without the kindness and generosity of so many. It is a powerful reminder of how compassion brings people together, how acts of kindness can change lives, and no one should have to face life's challenges alone. Abdulaziz, we are so happy that you are here, and we are honored to be a part of your journey. Welcome to Colorado.
Senator Judah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask for another moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Members, we are incredibly honored to be joined by the great Senator Janet Buckner. As many of you know, Senator Buckner is my predecessor, but maybe a lot of you don't know is that I have known her since I was 4 years old. Our families have been intertwined through the friendships of her children and my siblings, but the late, great John Buckner was also my principal. You have an incredible legacy, and your role at the legislature has left all of us with the deepest gratitude for your years of service and unwavering commitment to our community, to Colorado, and SD 29. Your work has been a shining example of what it means to lead with integrity, compassion, and a steadfast dedication to equity. Your advocacy for education, healthcare, and social justice has left a legacy that will resonate for years to come. You have been a mentor, a trailblazer, and a source of inspiration for so many, including myself. It has been an honor to witness and learn from you, from your leadership, and I'm committed to continuing the work of building a more just and equitable Colorado, following the trail you have so brilliantly paved. I told a story on one of her retirement parties that the community held. Recently, I was in Cairo, and I saw a papyrus with a tree and 5 birds. And I saw it, and I immediately thought of her. I thought some of the birds represent her children, Jay, Jennifer, and Joy. The other was John, but the 5th bird was Colorado. And you are the tree. You are the roots that have held Colorado, SD 29, and many of the people that you touch together. And that strength of those roots and those trees reach very high up, and that legacy will be unmatched. I will end by saying thank you. Thank you for your service, the countless lives you have touched. I wish you the very best in the next chapter of your journey, which I know will be an adventure. And I hope to make you as proud as the work you carry forward and the values that we both hold dear. Thank you so much, Senator.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you. And everyone may be seated. And may I have a moment of personal privilege, please?
Granted.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say a few words. I didn't know we were doing this morning, but I'm going to say a few words about my friend and colleague, great colleague that I was able to work with for 4 years, Senator Buckner. And I would just say a few things. You are one of the senators that I respected the most down here. We had so many great conversations, understandings about our backgrounds and things that we had gone through as individuals and through our families. We served on the Education Committee together. We served on the Health and Human Services Committee together. And I would say, and you were chair of those committees, I got to serve on the Education Committee when we ended the budget stabilization factor, and we were all there together doing that. So we were able to do that together, but you are just a great friend, and you're just a great person. And I am better for knowing you and better for the conversations we had. You helped me to become a better legislator because of those conversations and because of those discussions. Your well thought out, measured approach to everything that you did down here is something that I tried to follow and pay attention to. And I just want to say I love you. You're a great friend, and I miss you so much that you're not here. We've got a great person that's following in your footsteps, but I just want you to know how much I miss you, and thank you for everything you did to help me to become a better legislator. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Senator.
Another topic? Come on, man.
Senator Weissman.
Thank you, Madam President. May I ask for a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. You know, what's happening is there's so many of us who want to add our words. You know, I think I first started to meet the Buckner family over a dozen years ago, the late John Buckner first, when he first ran for the State House in a seat in my city in 2012. Not long thereafter, I came to know the quiet strength behind his quiet strength, and that's Janet Buckner. We served together for a number of years in the House, and having earned the opportunity to come and serve in this chamber, I was hoping that I would get to serve with Senator Buckner. She decided that her time had run, so I'll be missing that. But I just wanted to add, some of what I think has always made Senator Buckner stand out for me. We're in a pretty loud business, politics, but Senator Buckner always preferred the quiet way. We're in a pretty brash business, increasingly so, but Senator Buckner always preferred the calm and cool and respectful way, and we are in a business that just when you think it's gone as low as it possibly can, somebody pulls out a jackhammer and goes through the cement floor and goes even lower, but Senator Buckner always insisted on taking the higher road. That matters in politics. It matters particularly, I think, in this chamber. We are fewer than in the other chamber, so there is less margin for relationships gone south with each other, and I think Senator Buckner understood that and left her influence here for all of us. So, Senator, thank you for coming back today.
Please add Senators Cutter and Marchman to the roll. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Madam President. My fellow JB. Oh, yeah, that's right. This is the business of the Senate. This is Janet Buckner, man. Yeah. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you, Madam President. I got to know Janet my first year in the legislature, and we had both just lost someone dear to us. She had just lost her husband, and I had just lost my brother. We were sitting next to each other on the House floor and working together in the Education Committee, and having that shared pain that we were working through, I think really brought us close together. And there is no one kinder, nicer, more thoughtful than Janet Buckner in the legislature. And I would very brashly tell anyone who asked, my favorite legislator is Janet Buckner. And I would say that to people, and they'd go, yeah, that's right, that checks. And I would say it to constituents, too. And I'd say, even more than me, Janet Buckner is my favorite legislator. And they'd be like, yeah, I'd rather have her as my senator. That's true. And then redistricting happened, and there was a whole chunk of my district that went from having me as their senator to having Janet Buckner as their senator. And I talked to some of the folks there, and they said, we're sorry to lose you, but we got Janet, so it's a real step up. And I completely agreed with them. Colorado is a better place for your leadership, for your thoughtfulness, the way you always put kids first in every decision you made. And we are poorer for losing you from here, but I think you have given this state what it is, that far more actually than what you owe this state, and we owe you for what you've done. So, Senator Buckner, thank you.
Senator Kolker.
Thank you, Madam President. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. You thought you were going to get out of this eulogy stuff, didn't you? By, waiting till after session. But we're not going to let that happen, right? I left you a voicemail. January, I left you a voicemail because you were off on gallivanting on one of your vacations, in retirement. And I hope you're able to do a lot more of that. And in the voicemail, because I took your spot as education chair, I said, I learned a lot from you. And what I learned from you specifically is the empathy that you have for every single person who comes in, and how you take the time with each person and try to let them know that their testimony or their presence is welcome and important. I'm a little bit more rough around the edges. I'm doing my best to, and I've said this to a number of my colleagues, to channel my inner Senator Buckner. And I just want to say that whatever everyone else has said, what you've done for the state, the one thing that you've given to all of us and to this state is your heart. And I love you for that, and I think you're just the kindest person, and you have the biggest heart. And I appreciate everything you've done, and try to follow in your footsteps. Thank you.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Mama Buckner, thank you for taking care of all of us, for giving us grace and love and showing us how to give grace and love to each other. Also showing how to take care of our constituents in all of Colorado. There is no one that has shown more love and empathy and grace in this job than you, and you all taught us how to do that, and we will never be the same because of your impact on us. Thank you and love you.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you very much, Madam President. You know, members, we did not have a true opportunity to wish well the good senator from Aurora, Senator Janet Buckner. And we just thought it'd be appropriate on a day where she's not here just to be celebrated, but to actually testify in a committee and yet continue to do work on behalf of the folks of the state of Colorado. And so she's not necessarily upset, but maybe surprised. She doesn't know me by now. You know, we like to surprise folks and make sure that she knows this may be a surprise, but the accolade you're receiving is not, is well-deserving. I have not known Senator Buckner as long as the good senator from Aurora. She was 4, but I was 15. And when you've known somebody that long, you ask them not to tell stories about you going to the principal's office. In that case, the principal was John Buckner, so she probably already knew that. You all know my mother passed away a few years ago, and there's a lot of amazing people in my life, but when we call Senator Buckner Mama Buckner, we honor her title, the Honorable Janet Buckner, but to many of us, she is very much that person. And so I'm very grateful that you are a mother in my life. I'm still waiting on that wine and Chinese food we talked about. So we're going to make that happen eventually. But I'm really excited that all of us had a chance to celebrate you this morning. That being said, members, the Senate of the Colorado Legislature, convened in the first regular session of the 75th General Assembly, hereby extends our warmest congratulations and commendations to Senator Janet Buckner. The members of the Colorado State Senate and Colorado House, thank you for your service to the state of Colorado, dedication to the Colorado Black Democratic Legislative Caucus, and impactful contributions to House District 40 and Senate District 29. Since 1975, Janet Buckner has been a staple of the Aurora community. She and her late husband, John, chose Aurora so their family could flourish. Her family includes her twin daughters, Joy and Jennifer, her son, Jay, Jennifer's husband, Floyd, and Jay's wife, Erin, and granddaughters. In July 2015, Janet was unanimously elected by a vacancy committee to serve the remainder of the term of her late husband, John W. Buckner, representing House District 40 in Southern Aurora. She proceeded to get reelected to serve the people of House District 40 in 2016 and again in 2018. And in 2020, Janet Buckner has been appointed the Speaker Pro Tempore, Majority Caucus Chair, and serve as Chair of the Education Committee. In 2020, she was elected to serve Senate District 29 by her district. She also served as Chair of Education Committee. Janet Buckner is dedicated to legislation that addresses health and education inequities and has proven to be a leader in the state legislature by passing laws to address these issues in a bipartisan manner. She has always believed in giving all individuals a seat at the table with regard to policy and legislative issues. Her favorite quote is, "If you're not at the table, you're on the menu." Her ability to lead by example with grace, inclusivity, and empathy is what has made her an exceptional leader. We offer this recognition of former Senator Janet Buckner at the Colorado State Capitol to commemorate her lasting impact on the state of Colorado, on request of, quite frankly, all of us, on this day. Thank you so much for your service, and we welcome you back to your chamber.
Senator Exum.
Thank you, Madam President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Today, I have the distinct honor of welcoming some remarkable group of students from University of Colorado Springs, UCCS, who are here as a part of the Mosaic Student Day at the Capitol. The Mosaic Multicultural Office of Student Access, Inclusion, and Community program at UCCS provides a space for students of all backgrounds to come together, celebrate diversity, and engage in meaningful leadership and advocacy. These students are committed to fostering inclusivity and ensuring that all voices are heard, values that we have as legislators strive to uphold this chamber every day. Joining us today are outstanding UCCS students who are leaders on their campus and in their communities. They are here to learn firsthand about the legislative process and the impact of public service. I encourage all my colleagues to take a moment to engage with these students, hear their perspectives, and share with them the importance of civic engagement. It is inspiring to see the next generation stepping up, eager to get involved in shaping the policies that will affect their futures. Once again, I want to extend my gratitude to UCCS and the Mosaic program for bringing these bright students here today. Please join me in recognizing and welcoming these future leaders of Colorado. Here, stand up. Thank you, Madam President.
You are welcome. Mr. Exum. We switched up. Minority Leader Lundin.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Colleagues, this morning we are joined by some elected officials down from the Colorado Springs area. If the student council from Air Academy High School would stand up, I'd like to acknowledge them. Years ago, I covered the Congress, and it was said that the difference between the Congress and the Boy Scouts is the Boy Scouts had adult supervision. You could say a similar thing today. The difference between the Colorado State Senate and the Air Academy High School Student Council is the Air Academy High School Student Council has adult supervision. Today, that adult supervision is Jody Montoya, who's here with the members of the Student Council. Also, their sponsor is Courtney Whitelaw, and we always pause for a moment to remember and honor the memory of Riley Whitelaw as well. It is great to see you students here today. Air Academy is unique in many, many ways. It has great leaders. It's a 12-time winner of the John Irwin School of Excellence Award. Their speech and debate team are on their way to the state championships right now. The boys soccer team is the 2024 state champion, and the girls basketball team won the 2024 Fountain Fort Carson Classic. Colleagues, please welcome these future leaders of Colorado and current leaders of the Air Academy High School in Colorado Springs. Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it. Welcome to the Senate. Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. I just want to welcome Front Range Community College students here today. Please have a seat, stand up. Every year, one of our teachers from Fort Collins or Front Range Community College brings his students to the Capitol so they can learn more about what we do. So thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it.
Welcome to the Senate. Members, at the request of the Majority Leader, we'll take a 5-minute recess to welcome our guests. All right, members, we are back to business. Third reading of bills. Consent calendar. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of the bill on the consent calendar.
Senate Bill 78 by Senator Peltonar and Representative Lukens concerning the authorization of certain nonprofit hospitals to enter into collaborative agreements with other health facilities.
Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of the bill on third reading, final passage consent calendar, which is Senate Bill 78.
Mr. Schaffler, please excuse Senator Mullica. Oh, here he is. Senator Mullica is back. Please do not excuse Senator Mullica.
There's no excuse.
Any discussion on the bill on third reading of the bill's consent calendar? Seeing none. I got you. I'll hold the vote. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of the bill on the third reading of the bill's consent calendar. Are there any no votes? She's back. She's back. With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, and 1 vacant, Senate Bill 78 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Simpson, Roberts, Bridges, Pelton B., Mullica, Frizzell, Carson, Catlin, Liston, Exum, Kirkmeyer, Snyder, Mr. Majority Leader, Mr. Minority Leader, Amabile, Weissman, Ball, Cutter, Judah, Kipp, Winter, Michelson-Janae. Please add the President. General orders. Third reading of the bills, final passage. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 85.
Senate Bill 85 by Senators Kipp and Carson and Representatives Rutinell and Pascal concerning the adoption of animals that are test subjects of health-related research.
There he is. Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 25-085 on final passage, third reading and final passage, sorry.
Very good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 85 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Simpson, Pelton B., Pelton R., Rich, Baisley. With a vote of 29 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, and 1 vacant, Senate Bill 85 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Weissman, Michelson-Janae, Winter, Judah, Cutter, Colker, Snyder, Marchman, Exum. Please add the President. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Gonzalez.
Thanks, Mr. President. I resolve that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills.
You heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself to Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, and Senator Gonzalez will take the chair.
Thank you. Oh, this is nice. Committee will come to order. The coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 141?
Senate Bill 141 by Senator Peltonar and Representative Winter concerning an exemption for certain municipalities from the requirement to adopt an energy code for residential buildings.
Senator Peltonar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 141.
Is there any discussion? Senator Peltonar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill idea was brought to me by a small rural development group in a town of 250. They build homes for resale to teachers, ranch workers, farm workers, whoever they can. And some of these new energy codes are adding over $20 a square foot to their homes, which means that's that many fewer homes they can build and resell in that community. And they're doing an awesome job. So with that, I'd urge support for 141.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 141. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 141 is adopted. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to House Bill 1029?
House Bill 1029 by Representative Basnicker and Senator Kipp concerning the scope of municipal authority over land that a municipality acquires that is outside its municipal limits.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you so much. I move HB 25-1029 as amended.
To the bill. Is there any further discussion? Senator Kipp.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate everybody allowing us to lay this bill over for the last week to have additional conversations about it. Unfortunately, we were unable to reach agreement on amendments, and I understand there may be one being brought, but I'd be happy to speak to the amendment if it's brought. But I would ask everybody to pass this bill as it is. Really, all this bill does is expand the authority of our municipalities to have control over the open spaces and natural areas outside of their areas so that they can send a ranger and make sure that people aren't acting inappropriately on those lands. We're, picking up litter, doing all that kind of good stuff. So that's what we're asking for.
Further discussion, Senator Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, members, I know there's been a lot of good discussion about this bill, and I will be supportive of it. Primarily, as I've mentioned, because in Colorado Springs, the Colorado Springs Utilities has watershed areas along the boundaries and all around Pikes Peak that I know that the good senator from Colorado Springs has seen over there. And these are in isolated areas that are owned by the city, but they're not necessarily adjacent to city property. And so it's a very sensitive area. It's a very important area that it must be, I'll say, quote, policed and maintained. So it's for that reason that I'm supporting the bill, because our utilities as well as our city council is supportive of this bill. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Further discussion, Senator Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would caution against the bill for the primary reason that we as a statewide body, state legislature, we pass bills towards statewide law. And very specifically, we're even instructed constitutionally to always address statewide bills and not bills that are directed at certain municipalities. That was the origin, however, of this bill, was to resolve the municipalities of Fort Collins and others, and Weld, I believe. And now, of course, whatever is passed, if it does, would apply to the rest of the state. The complexities there and the challenges between when one county does own property in an adjacent county, now there will be consequences, intended and otherwise, across the state. I can think of some within the 8 counties that I represent, and those all need to be considered. So I don't think that this has gotten the the review statewide that it deserves before being placed into law, because there will be a lot of implications. So out of caution, I would urge a no vote on this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Seeing no further, Senator Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I rise in opposition to House Bill 1029. I believe that it has conflicting codes and uses between municipalities. I think it changes the hierarchy of control. I believe that memos of understanding and other collaborations could be forfeited by a single municipality. I think it dilutes the authority where open land in rural Colorado is managed, and I think it goes beyond just police authority for the land, but establishes a guaranteed arm of policy reaching from one municipal area into sections of another. I think I understand what maybe Larimer County is wanting to do here, but I don't believe that this should be a statewide mandate. I ask for a no vote.
Senator Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And first of all, I would just really like to thank the sponsors of this bill to give us some time to have a little bit of discussion outside of the chamber and that sort of thing. But I'd like to renew what I was saying when this bill first came up. We already do this. We do this now as counties and municipalities, and we make sure that we have IGAs, intergovernment agreement with the counties that we are, or me as a county's perspective, have IGAs with municipalities. We want to make sure that we are respected in our county and they're respected in their municipality, especially if they go take land and it's their land. We have an IGA with them saying, all right, that's your building, you have your own planning and zoning department, you have your own building department. If you want to build something there, then you can do it. We won't charge you building permits. It's the same way with this. If you guys want to patrol it, then we'll have an IGA that says we'll have cooperation between the sheriff's department and the police department. IGAs are very important in local governments, municipality governments, local governments, county governments, very important. So I'm just saying that I will renew what I said before. We must have an agreement. They don't just get to come take it and buy it and say we get to have full land use powers. We're going to say we have to have an agreement with an intergovernmental agreement. I ask for a no on 1029.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too rise in opposition to House Bill 1029. And I also would like to thank the bill sponsors. They have been very gracious in trying to work with us on this to get amendments, to try and get to a place where maybe we could somewhat support this new piece of legislation. But here's the thing. 3125-216, what it says in statute, and you can see this in the bill, but I'll just read it to you. It talks about that in all cases where any city or city and county or organized under a special charter or created under a state constitution, so any city and county, so Denver, Broomfield, and all the other municipalities, all the other municipalities in the state, has acquired lands outside its municipal limits for parks, parkways, boulevards, or roads. What we're doing here is inserting also that they could acquire open space and natural areas. Now, I do kind of have an issue with them acquiring lands outside of their municipal corporate limits. Anytime government owns property, it takes it off the tax rolls. So it does have a way of impacting the other local government. But further, in this statute, and quite frankly, I didn't even know this statute was here until this bill came up, but because it talks about acquiring lands outside of their municipal limits. Now, they already have the ability to annex properties. So if they wish to control lands outside of their corporate limits, they should probably just annex them. But there are a lot of times when people don't want to have their property annexed. At the same time, I mean, I understand they're talking about parks. I'm not sure how this bill even came to fruition, but here's the thing. There is already the opportunity for intergovernmental agreements between municipalities and between municipalities and counties. This bill isn't about just acquiring lands in unincorporated parts of counties. It's also about having the ability to acquire lands in any local government jurisdiction. Any local government jurisdiction. So, as I've explained to a few folks already, in my neck of the woods, it not only would, it would have the possibility, and I'm not saying this is the reason for this amendment to this statute, but it would have the possibility that I've got like 4 municipalities that are pretty much on top of each other. They're interconnected. You can't really tell where one municipality starts and the other one ends. And you may go a mile and yet another municipality may be there, may be their municipal boundaries. I could literally see a municipality using this to go out and acquire open space and natural areas or a park in another municipality to, one, either stop development or to, that would impact, so it would stop development and impact this other municipality. In the statute right now, any lands that they acquire, they would have this type of jurisdiction. So again, on lands that they acquire, but it also extends farther than the lands that they acquire, this jurisdiction that's within this statute right now. They would have the power and authority to provide by ordinance for the regulation and control of its lands. Fine. They acquired it, it's their property, they should be able to control they should be able to control their lands, at least how their maintenance. But they should not have any authority to conflict with or have land use authority. In other words, when Broomfield came and bought property in Weld County, they did not, I do not believe they have the authority, but I want to make clear that they do not have the authority to change the zone, to have land use authority over that property. But it goes on. They not only have the power and authority to provide by ordinance for regulation and control of the land so acquired, but to prevent the commission of any acts which are or may be declared unlawful pursuant to the provision, and to prosecute and punish the violation of any ordinances in its municipal court. So I want you to start thinking how confusing that is. So here's where this started. This started with the city of Fort Collins, and they have already acquired park areas outside of their municipal boundaries. Fine. And quite frankly, I will tell you, it makes sense where they acquired the land. Their open space area, their park areas for them, their natural areas. I know they deal with some of their stormwater drainage in that area, and they've done some other things that are actually very beneficial to the environment. So it's not an issue that they acquired those lands. And they have to have acquired them for the use of a park. Now they want to start acquiring other lands for open space or natural areas. And again, they want to do that so that they have police authority over those. So they can regulate whether or not the areas are open to the public or not open to the public, and who would have police authority, who would have that jurisdiction. Well, right now in the lands that they have acquired already outside of their municipal boundaries, it would be a county sheriff would have the authority. And apparently they weren't able to work out an intergovernmental agreement or work out an agreement of some sort with regard to who has that jurisdiction. So, you know, it is no different than for a county who has a county seat inside a municipality. The sheriff does not have jurisdiction over the police authority over that property because it's located in a municipality. But they don't just go try and change the law to say that they get authority over it. They go work with the municipality to get agreements in place about who would answer a call at the county courthouse. And in our case in Weld County, in the city of Greeley, even though the city of Greeley has jurisdiction, it is the sheriff who would answer that call first, and the city of Greeley police would back them up. They've worked that out through agreements. So that's the premise for why we're having this bill. And again, I went and got that information, not from the city, but basically from the lobbyists for the city of Fort Collins. So I do have an amendment here, and I'm going to present it here in just a minute, but I'm going to tell you about the amendment. Again, they would have also, when they acquire lands outside their municipal boundaries, it extends essentially extraterritorial jurisdiction for this municipality to do this. So the city and the county also would have like power and jurisdiction to prevent pollution of the water in all reservoirs, streams, and pipes, which may be included within any such parks. And with this bill, it would also include any open space or natural areas that they buy, parkways, boulevards, or roads, and over the stream or source from which such water is taken as far as 10 miles above the point from which it is diverted. That's quite a bit of extended authority. And for those of us who are concerned about water, I want you to start thinking about how municipalities could start buying up open space and natural areas, parks, this has happened already, in our headwater counties. For me, in a very agricultural county, I want you to start thinking about how they could expand their powers to activities on or near these open space and natural areas that could impact grazing or irrigation practices that rely on historical water rights. Because again, they would have power and jurisdiction to prevent pollution of the water in reservoirs, streams, and pipes. And so it just starts expanding their authority. If the city or county restricts access to open space or natural areas, it might limit the ability of certain water right holders to maintain or develop their infrastructure. Again, pipelines or ditches or reservoirs on or near these lands, because the city would have jurisdiction over it. It's one thing when we're talking about a park, it's another thing when we're talking about open space and natural areas. Open space could pretty much be anything. They also would have like power and jurisdiction over the use of any public roads, boulevards, or parkways within such parks and running over or through or between such lands as any public roads, boulevards, or parkways between any such park or pleasure ground, even though it's not included in their municipal boundaries. So now instead of annexing roadways, they can acquire, which the city of Fort Collins has done, and so has the city and county of Denver, quite frankly. They've acquired parks. They could acquire open space and natural areas now, if this bill is to pass, but they would also have power and jurisdiction over the use of any public roads running over or through or between such lands. So that would be not only county roadways. I know everybody must maybe think this might be a city-county kind of thing going on, but they could acquire lands in another municipality's boundaries, and then let's say they've got a patchwork. For example, I'm just going to use the Tri-Town area in Weld County, and it's actually four municipalities that are pretty much right on top of each other and have adjacent boundaries, municipal corporate boundaries, and it's Frederick, Firestone, Dacono, and Erie. And they're all fairly close, and they all have municipal boundaries that are on the I-25 corridor and the Highway 52 corridor. You could have a municipality for whatever purpose, and I'm not saying this is happening, but I could see it happening in this area, depending on if they're getting along or not on that given day. But I could see a municipality purchasing open space and a natural area along the I-25 corridor in another municipality's boundaries simply to stop any development that would occur in that municipality, to give them an edge up, to give them, the acquiring municipality, the ability to have an edge up. So with that in mind, I would like to put an amendment at the desk
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L13 to 1029?
Amendment L13, amend reading gross bill, page 2, line 3, strike amend 31-25-216.
Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L013.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, what this amendment does is, first of all, on page 2 of the bill, it inserts language to make sure that the city and county shall not exercise any such powers in a way that conflicts with the land use powers of the county in which the acquired lands are located. So again, what that would say is where it says right now in the bill that a city and a county has power and authority to provide by ordinance for regulation and control of its lands so acquired to prevent the commission of any acts. So again, basically it's giving them all this power and authority that they would do by ordinance and regulations. And just so you know, municipalities and counties adopt their land use regulations either through ordinance or, typically by ordinance, will adopt those. So ordinance for the regulation and control of its land. What this first section of this amendment says is that they can't adopt something that would conflict with the land use powers of the county in which the acquired lands are located. That's the first thing. The second part of this that this amendment does, and it's on page 3, after line 10, is that it says, before acquiring the land outside its municipal limits for a park or open space or natural area, a municipality shall enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the municipality, county, or city and county in which the land is located regarding the acquisition and use of the land. And here's why that's important if you're another municipality. First of all, it gives you a heads up that they're trying to acquire land in your municipality. Second of all, it makes sure that you have the ability through that intergovernmental agreement to ensure that they do not conflict with your land use authorities, that they are not trying to do something nefarious, and that you just know what's going on. I mean, quite frankly, from my vantage point, I specifically would really prefer, which I was trying to get an amendment for, saying that they can't even acquire the lands. You know, if they want those lands, they should go figure out how to annex them. If they want to go acquire them, they should understand that they're treated just like any other property owner in that municipality or county, and I don't know why they think they need to have all of these additional powers in the first place. But I will just say this, when I was working through these amendments, and again, appreciate the grace that was offered by the sponsors of this bill, the city of Fort Collins responded back to one of my amendments that went probably a lot farther than they wanted it to go, which is why they didn't like it, but they offered an alternative to disallowing completely, which is what I was trying to do in an amendment, that the law could require an intergovernmental agreement in cases when a municipality is buying land for parks, open space, and natural areas inside another municipality's boundaries. They say it's standard practice currently and would ensure agreement between the municipalities. Well, I agree with them. Now, they don't like this amendment. I'm not trying to suggest that the city of Fort Collins likes Amendment 013. They do not. I'm not trying to suggest that the Colorado Municipal League likes this amendment either, because they do not. But I think it's pretty clear that with regard for even for cities, that they can develop intergovernmental agreements. And we want them to develop intergovernmental agreements. We don't want to have issues between municipalities and counties. We want them to be able to work together. That's why we have this whole law and all these statutes with regard to how they can get intergovernmental agreements in place. That's also why we have laws in place with regard to annexation. There are requirements that if you are within I think it's within 3 miles of another municipality's corporate limits, that they have standing, that they can challenge your annexation, that you have to work together. So we quit having these boundary wars go on. And they occur. I think we've all heard about them. But they occur, especially when municipalities are trying to do a run on getting lands annexed so that they would get not only the property taxes, but the potential for increased sales tax. I will give you an example of where this, before acquiring lands outside its municipal limits, this amendment is extremely important. It's in Weld County currently. In Weld County, at Weld County Road 8 and I-76, so Interstate 76, Burlington Northern wants to build a, I want to call it a switch yard, but also another yard where they can switch out and they can have their yard and move it essentially out of Denver and move it into Weld County. It will hugely increase the property taxes for that area. There's the potential for even sales tax increase with the other things they wish to do on the property that Burlington Northern is acquiring. They've acquired quite a bit of it. Hudson is within 3 miles of that interchange, that intersection at County Road 8 and I-76. Lock Buoy is on the south part of I-76. They are within 3 miles. They are in a huge fight over who's going to annex that property. Lock Buoy is trying to work with Hudson and say, look, let's have an intergovernmental agreement. Let's figure out how to do revenue sharing. Let's make it work. Let's figure out whose jurisdiction it would be in, who has the police power to make sure that they can provide for it. But instead of trying to push this development someplace else, or nobody gains anything from it, how about we work together on it? Hudson's no. Hudson's just a no. So since they would have to go through court fights to try and annex the property, since property owners in the area don't want to be annexed, what Hudson could do is simply go purchase some open space or a natural area, or say they're going to build a park, and go buy land and surround the area to make sure that Lock Buoy has no chance of annexing it. They could just go start buying the land. Probably be cheaper anyways than going through an annexation fight. That's why this amendment is so important. This amendment, really the basis of it is that before acquiring lands outside their municipal limits, they need to give a heads up to the other local government. They need to let them know that they're going to acquire lands in their corporate boundaries in another municipality or in the county, and let them know, and they need to work out those agreements. That's just, being professional and respectful between local governments. This is why we have intergovernmental agreements in statute. This is why we have all sorts of laws regarding annexations. But this is why this amendment is so important. I know the Municipal League doesn't like it, but I know at least, I think in areas throughout the state, I think that other municipalities and certainly counties would be appreciative of the heads up, would be appreciative of, you know what, let's work out our differences before you annex before you acquire the land. Let's work out our differences before you do a patchwork of acquirements, and then you have the authority to control the road between those lands that you've acquired. I know you all know that I was a county commissioner for 20 years. I will tell you, even prior to annexations, this is the problem. Even prior to annexations, the county would make a very diligent effort, and we were very successful in working with the 31 municipalities that are located in Weld County on annexations, particularly flagpole annexations where they just want to annex the roadway, and then they can't afford to take care of it. So we were able to work out agreements with them on those annexations prior to the annexation, not have a bunch of fights, not have roadways that aren't going to get maintained or damaged and then not improved, not have any of that occur because we exercised that ability that's in statute for an intergovernmental agreement. And municipalities would come to the county, and we would talk about their annexations and where could we work together. That's what this amendment is saying. Look, before you go get in a fight with the county, or before you get in a fight with another municipality, go talk to them. Work out an agreement. That's what this amendment says. It says before acquiring the land outside the municipal limits for parks, open space, and natural areas, a municipality shall enter into an intergovernmental agreement. That's it. That is the main part of this amendment. The part about you can't conflict with land use powers, the city of Fort Collins, I mean, I put that in before I saw the comments back from the city of Fort Collins, because folks were hearing that, yes, the city, if it acquired land, it therefore had land use authority. Well, I didn't believe that it did. I said it didn't. But essentially, the city of Fort Collins agrees with me as well that really this part of the amendment isn't needed. It's just really kind of a clarification. But the cities currently would have to adhere to county land use rules at parks outside of city boundaries. So therefore, they would have to adhere to the counties, and I'm assuming another city's land use authority, even in open space and natural areas. So the first part of this amendment, which affects page 2, line 14, is really just a clarification to make sure that everybody is clear on that, because I heard a lot of different stories from other folks with regard to land use authority, but the main portion of this amendment is really about, before they acquire those lands, go work with that other local government. Get an agreement in place. Do the right thing. Yes, you already have powers of intergovernmental agreements. You could already be doing this, but just go get it worked out. That's what this amendment says. So with that, I would urge an aye vote on L13, on L013.
Further discussion related to L13. Senator Kipp.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you taking the time to hear all the debate on this. So I wanted to give you some of the feedback that, we took the time to get from the Colorado Municipal League on this. So the first part of the amendment, the people have an issue with it because they believe it would impose a restriction that doesn't exist now on the control and management of parks under current law, not just the addition of open space and natural areas. We're not trying to change current law. Current law says we're already going out, cities are going out, they are buying these natural spaces and open spaces and natural areas. We just want to make sure that we have appropriate control over them so that we are not burdening the counties with the idea of having a ranger go in there. It is really unclear what the effect of that first part of this would be on current law, which hasn't proven to be a problem and has been used for years and years and years and could be disruptive of current control of current municipal properties, parks, parkways, boulevards, and roads. Also, I do want to just read the actual current statute to you, just so that we're all on the same page here. So, yes, as my good colleagues say, that there is, in this, that in all cases where any city or city and county organized under a special charter or created under the state constitution has acquired lands outside its municipal limits for parks, parkways, boulevards, or roads, and said city or city and county has full police power and jurisdiction and full municipal control and full power and authority in the management, control, improvement, and maintenance of and over any such land so acquired. And there is a clarifying sentence already underneath. It has power and authority to provide by ordinance for the regulation and control of its land so acquired, to prevent the commission of any acts which are or may be declared unlawful pursuant to the provisions of this Part 2, and to prosecute and punish the violation of any ordinance of its municipal courts. And all we are trying to do is clarify in this language that this is, and some municipalities are already doing this, extending that to our natural areas and open spaces, because some municipalities believe that law already applies and some don't. Now, the second part of the amendment, which talks about an intergovernmental agreement or an MOU, The MOU and IGA option was explored but doesn't work with limited commission rangers who are not post-certified. Such agreements must be for post-certified officers under CRS 16.25101. In addition, there were employment law and liabilities concerns. Why did limited commission rangers need to be used rather than post-certified officers? There was something about requiring them to be an employee of both the city and the county, but this would have to be helpful to have, the bill allows lower-level city code-only infractions, just those infractions, to be enforced at the, with the limited commission city rangers, while continuing to allow city police to enforce city law, county law by agreement, and state law, and county sheriffs and their deputies to enforce county and state law. The city, including the police department, has chosen to use limited commission rangers to protect natural areas because there is a need for officers who can focus on lower-level municipal code that protects the public's investment in these open spaces. For example, prohibiting fires, damaging natural or geologic features, camping, alcohol, etc. The limited commission rangers alleviate call load on police and sheriffs, allowing those officers to respond to more pressing offenses. In addition, limited commission rangers in the city's approach with education ambassadorship first and municipal code enforcement is a tool when needed. Armed post-certified ranger police officer positions could be created but present trade-offs in public trust, approachability, and affordability. Really, CML, my city, are opposed to this amendment, and I would ask for a no vote.
Further discussion, Senator Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the biggest issue is that, again, I am not like the good senator from Weld County. I only had 5 municipalities that I had to come up and have IGAs with, and I think the biggest thing is that I don't think that inserting this body in between a local government and another local government to create bigger issues, it's like we went and asked mommy, now we have to go ask daddy type of thing. I don't think that that's the way we should be doing this. And I appreciate the Municipal League and I appreciate the city of Fort Collins, but my biggest issue is that they should be able to figure out a way to work out their differences. And I just don't think that inserting legislation, we see this all the time. Oh, the city of Denver is not letting us build houses, so we're going to take away their land use authority. You know, these type of things. It's the same way with this. We can't get the county and the city to agree on anything, so we're going to insert this body to make that difference. And I have a big issue with that. I think local governments should be making that decision amongst themselves. And I still ask for an aye vote on L013.
Further discussion, Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So that was a really good point that you made. I have a grandson that likes to come over to my house because they live across the road, and he'll come over and ask me to do something, and I'll say, well, what did your mother say? And he goes, Mommy said no. And that's what this is about. The sheriff said no. The sheriff said, no, we can't get it worked out in an intergovernmental agreement. So here we are with the statute to try and fix that. And what I'm saying is, what we should be requiring is municipalities, counties, and other municipalities should all be working together. You know, there are examples. Fort Collins can give them to you with Loveland. They can give you an example of where, you know what, they went and worked with Loveland, they bought open space, it worked out, it was fine. So they were able to work it out there, so they didn't need a law change. Because right now the law does say they can buy land, they can acquire land anywhere. So that means they can acquire land in another municipal boundary. Kind of like Lafayette went and bought land in Erie and put solar on it. Didn't put it in their municipality, went and moved it over. I mean, there could be all sorts of things, nefarious things that happen here. And again, all this amendment is saying is, look, you have the authority to do an intergovernmental agreement. Go work one out. Go work out that intergovernmental agreement. Go be a good neighbor for goodness sakes. Or go be a good partner, because they could buy open land and natural areas way, way, way far away. The city and county of Denver's corporate boundaries are pretty small, and they're all right here. We have a pretty good idea where they're at. But they own a park in Jefferson County, and they own parks up near the headwater counties. And they own land in Douglas County. All we're saying is go work out an intergovernmental agreement. Be a good partner. Be upfront. Let everybody know what you're doing. Work it out with the sheriff. Work out jurisdiction. You know, who knows? Maybe if you pull in the county commissioners, you might be able to get a deal cut with the sheriff. But everybody should be working together on this, and you need to do that before you go acquire land. Because again, when you're acquiring that land, it could impact the development in the other municipality, could impact development in the county, it could infringe upon private property rights, and it definitely, when a municipality, when a government buys land, it takes it off the property tax rolls. That could impact the other local government as well. So I would ask for an aye vote on L013.
Senator Frizzell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of my good colleague from Weld County's amendment. I come from local government. You heard me talk about my experience in the county assessor's office, where we track all of those taxable to exempt classification changes, where properties go from providing for the services that benefit the citizens of that jurisdiction, whatever it may be, to no longer being part of the tax roll. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal for some localities. But what I really wanted to talk to you about, rather than boring you with my really lovely property tax knowledge here this morning, is my support of this amendment is in the importance of intergovernmental agreements. Where I come from in Douglas County, we have a number of municipalities, and then we have Douglas County government. And my experience in my 25 years in the county assessor's office, I saw the relationships between municipalities and between municipalities and the county evolve from being sometimes downright antagonistic to being one of more collegial. And I'll tell you why that changed. That's because at some point in the last 20 years, there was formed, it's an organization called the Partnership of Douglas County Governments, and that's made up of, guess what, Douglas County government entities. And it provides a forum on a monthly basis for all of these municipalities, sometimes big metro districts, water and sanitation districts. South Metro Fire is part of it because they provide extraordinary services to the citizens in the northern part of the county. And the county. And they sit down and they have this forum where they can hash things out. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal with local governments, with municipalities. It is a dog-eat-dog world out there. The competition for resources, whether you want to talk about water, whether you want to talk about land use, the competition, or economic development, let's talk about that. The competition between counties and municipalities is extraordinary. And if you doubt what I'm saying, go talk to somebody in your local municipality. Go ask them how they feel about that IKEA being put up across the county line instead of in your jurisdiction, meaning you don't get those sales tax dollars. This is a big deal. And that's one of the reasons why the Municipal League is very much part of this initial legislation. This is a big deal. There is nothing wrong with asking for governments to talk to each other. It benefits your constituents, it benefits my constituents. It matters. So, members, the reason why I am standing up here yammering on, not talking about property taxes, but I'm talking to you about communication. That's something that we value in this building, and it's something that we should value and expect of those who provide the most direct services to our citizens. I very passionately ask for your aye vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Senator Pelton B. Senatorial 5.
You do.
We're going to withdraw the amendment.
Okay. Okay.
The motion before the body is the adoption of L13. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, everyone, for your indulgence. I will withdraw Amendment L013.
Amendment L13 is withdrawn. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1029 until Thursday, March the 6th.
The motion is to lay over House Bill 1029 to Thursday, March the 6th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that bill will be laid over one day. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will rise and report.
Senate will come to order. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met and considered, well, we did some work. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the report?
March 5th, 2025. Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 141, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1029, as amended, laid over until March 6, 2025, and retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Gonzalez.
I move the report.
The motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, and 1 vacant, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 141 passed in second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1029 is amended, laid over until 3/6/2025, retaining its place on the calendar. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of HJR 1021.
House Joint Resolution 1021 by Representatives Garcia and Gilchrist and Senators Kipp and Winter concerning the declaration of February 28, 2025 as Rare Disease Day.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you. I move HJR 1021.
Any discussion? Senator Kipp.
So my daughter-in-law, Jenna, she lives with several rare diseases. As she says, she is a unicorn. And I asked her about doing this resolution, and she wrote something up for me that I want to share with you. She says, rare diseases often carry a stigma that can lead to feelings of isolation for both the individual and their loved ones. Together, we can raise awareness, share knowledge, and foster understanding about rare diseases and the realities of chronic illness. It is crucial to break down the barriers of ignorance and stigma, allowing for a more compassionate dialogue that recognizes the legitimacy of these conditions. The stigma surrounding rare diseases often manifests in a profound sense of frustration for those affected and their families, particularly when it comes to navigating the medical community. Many individuals with rare conditions face disbelief or dismissal from healthcare professionals who may lack familiarity with their specific illness. This lack of recognition can lead to a lengthy and exhausting journey of seeking answers, as patients often find themselves trapped in a cycle of tests and consultations without a definitive diagnosis. The emotional toll of being perceived as too complicated or not fitting the mold can be incredibly disheartening, leaving individuals feeling isolated and invalidated. It is a painful reminder that despite their suffering, the complexities of rare diseases are often overlooked, further perpetuating the stigma and hindering the path to understanding and effective treatment. Erasing the stigma surrounding rare diseases requires collective effort. It involves educating ourselves and others about the complexities of these conditions and advocating for those affected. We must challenge the misconceptions that often accompany rare diseases, promoting empathy over judgment, and together we can create a world where every individual, regardless of their health challenges, is seen, heard, and valued. Acceptance is a powerful tool in this journey. It begins with acknowledging our own experiences and validating our feelings when we embrace our realities. We also empower others to do the same. It is essential to foster an environment where individuals feel safe to share their stories without fear of judgment. Each shared experience can serve as a beacon of hope and understanding for someone else struggling in silence. Together, we can work to erase the stigma surrounding rare and chronic diseases. This starts with education, informing ourselves and others about the complexities of invisible conditions. Let us challenge the misconceptions that suggest these illnesses are not real simply because they cannot be seen. By advocating for awareness and compassion, we can cultivate a society that recognizes and respects the struggles of all individuals, regardless of whether their challenges are visible. Rare and chronic illnesses, many of which are invisible, challenge individuals every single day. They can impact physical health, mental well-being, and emotional resilience. Unfortunately, the lack of visible signs often leads to misunderstanding and at times outright dismissal of the experiences of those affected. This creates a barrier built on stigma that can be as debilitating as the conditions themselves. Awareness is our most potent tool in dismantling this barrier. When we educate ourselves and others about the realities of chronic illness and disability, we foster a culture of empathy, understanding, and support. Awareness allows us to see beyond the surface, to appreciate the complexities of each individual's journey, and to recognize the strength it takes to navigate life with a chronic condition. Let us commit to being allies for one another. Let us listen, support, and uplift those living with invisible illnesses. Together, we can create a world where acceptance prevails, stigma fades, and every individual is empowered to live authentically and fully. Together, we can create a community where acceptance flourishes, where individuals are not defined by their conditions, but celebrated for their resilience and courage. And I will just have to say, my daughter-in-law lives with a lot of resilience and courage.
Thank you very much, Senator Kipp. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I begin my remarks, will the clerk please read selected parts of HJR 1021?
Mr. Schaffler, please read selective parts of HJR 1021.
Whereas Coloradans with rare diseases and their families, friends, and caretakers know the challenges they face every day, such as finding knowledgeable providers, obtaining appropriate treatments, and paying and traveling for care, and the many other ways in which life can be extra challenging because of a rare disease. And whereas 1 in 10 people and more than 500,000 Coloradans live with a rare disease, and whereas there are more than 10,000 rare diseases defined as medical conditions affecting fewer than 200,000 Americans, and most of these conditions may affect only a few hundred individuals, and whereas these rare diseases are often lifelong and many are terminal, and whereas direct medical costs for people with rare diseases are 3 to 5 times higher than those for non-rare diseases, each year the costs amount to an estimated $400 billion, and whereas fewer than 5% of the known 10,000 rare diseases have an FDA-approved treatment, and whereas we see our constituents with these conditions and acknowledge the need for a better understanding, the need for access to care, and the financial impact on families, and whereas we also see that these families, despite the challenges, live their lives with optimism, hope for the future, courage, kindness for others, and most of all, acceptance that this is, through no fault of their own, the life that they have been granted. Now, therefore.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, members. Please be seated. I'll be brief. As many of you know, I have an incredibly rare disease, pulmonary hypertension, which means the pressure in my lungs is 70% more than the pressure in your lungs. And so when you see me waiting for the elevator stubbornly, it's because I can't take the stairs. I will get dizzy and out of breath. I mix medicine every single day to go into a pump that goes directly to my heart. My pump looks like it's from the 1980s because so few people have pulmonary hypertension that there's not the money to improve the technology. approximately 1% of the population has pulmonary hypertension, which translated to Colorado, that's about 87 to 292 Coloradans. That might be less than who's in the legislature that has to mix their pump every day, make sure they have their medicine. And just to give you an idea of what that means, Monday morning I was a little late because I had a routine blood test, but I packed a go bag for the hospital because half the time I have a blood test, I end up in the hospital. And I want to make sure I have my pajamas and my pillow and my toothbrush and toothpaste, and I learned that very quickly. And that's a reality that I have. Am I going to be in committee this afternoon? Or am I going to be sitting in a hospital bed because the blood test doesn't come back well? And that's just a routine blood test. And there are Coloradans all across the state living with rare diseases. And I want to point out when we thought about when the federal government tried to cut funding for studying and universities and healthcare, that cuts funding on my life. So the only reason I'm alive is because I did pass out at the airport. I was incredibly lucky and went to UC Health, where the person that actually invented the pump practiced. And so I was diagnosed so much faster than almost anyone else with pulmonary hypertension. He's trying to develop a daily shot. So I could go swimming again, I could go snorkeling again, I wouldn't have to mix medicine every day. But if we're cutting that research funding, that's done. That's over. And so it's important to look at those cuts and think about the lives that it impacts, because it is invisible to live with a rare disease. And it's really hard, and those cuts will impact all the Coloradans living with these rare diseases and indivisible diseases. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Winter. Further discussion? Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of House Joint Resolution 251021, the Rare Disease Day, and just take the opportunity to recognize, many of us in here have been impacted by rare diseases, and I just want to take the opportunity to recognize and honor my mom, who died of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, at the young age of 49 years old, a month after she turned 49. And 34 years later, there's not a lot of advancement in ALS diagnosis or treatment. And it just touches my heart when we get to talk about rare diseases and how it impact me and my family, my mom not getting to see her 9 grandkids or her 2 great-grandkids, and think about her often. I rise in support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Simpson. Senator Judah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in support. I was very private about my epilepsy for 24 years until me and the good senator from Thornton really inspired me to work on a bill to pass Seizure Safe School. And we wanted to make sure that teachers and administrators were trained on how to treat children with epilepsy or if they had a seizure. And it wasn't until former Representative Ortiz helped me understand that I have an invisible disability. And I'm incredibly grateful for that, because that has really allowed me to be a better advocate that I wasn't for 24 years. And using this platform really allows me to bring folks who also have that invisible disability, and sometimes it becomes visible, and it's very hard when it does. And I would also like to extend my great gratitude to our sergeants and to many of you here who do know what to do if I have a seizure. And so I can't thank the sponsors enough, and I will be very much in support of this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Judah. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption of HJR 1021. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, and 1 vacant, HJR 1021 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Delivery, message from the House.
The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Reviser of Statutes House Bill 1116, House Bill 1014, House Bill 1011, House Bill 1200, House Bill 1168, House Bill 1148, and House Bill 1179, amended as printed in House Journal, March 4th, 2025.
Delivery to the Governor.
To the Governor for signature on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 at 2:52 p.m., Senate Bill 10, 19, and 82.
Announcements. Senator Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate Health and Human Services Committee will be meeting 15 minutes upon adjournment in the old Supreme Court. We'll be hearing Senate Bill 122, Senate Bill 84 for action only, House Bill 1035, and House Bill 1027. Look forward to seeing you there.
Senator Roberts.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have 2 announcements. If you don't have lunch plans, you have a flyer on your desk to come to the very first meeting of the Outdoor Recreation Caucus. We are meeting at noon today in room 354 to talk about Colorado's outdoor rec industry and what the caucus plans to do as we get formed. Lunch is provided for legislators, so we encourage you to come if you would like some lunch and hear a great presentation. And then the second announcement is that the Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee is meeting 15 minutes upon adjournment up in 352, and we will hear Senate Bill 169 followed by House Bill 1009.
What's for lunch? Got to come to find out. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to understand why the good senator from Avon is holding an outdoor recreation event indoors.
S'mores. Come to find out.
All right. Some things I just never understand. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, the Senate Judiciary Committee will be meeting today at 1:30 in a new location. We will be meeting today in LSBB, so don't forget to come across the street. We will be hearing 2 bills in the following order. We will begin with House Bill 1015, and then we will hear Senate Bill 183. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Senator Coker.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Education Committee will be here meeting this afternoon, 1:30 and 357. We have a couple of appointments, and we're hearing bills 154, 177, 119, and 143. The last 2 for action only.
Thank you. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Transportation and Energy will be meeting at 1:30 today in 352. We have a presentation from the Colorado Energy Office on carbon management roadmap and microgrid roadmap presentations. And then there will be a change in order of the bills. We will first hear Senate Bill 11, which is up for action only. And then we will hear Senate Bill 162, and then Senate Bill 137, and then Senate Bill 161. I look forward to seeing you this afternoon.
Thank you. Senator Judah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have permission from the Majority Leader to be absent on Friday.
Only the Majority Leader?
And the President of the Colorado State Senate.
And the Minority Leader approved that, correct?
And the Mr. Minority Leader.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other announcements? Senator Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, the Monte Vista Crane Festival is happening in the San Luis Valley. My wife sent me a picture this morning off my back porch. There's a barley stubble field, within 50 feet of my back porch, and it's covered with sandhill crane. So the cranes are there. If you're looking for something to do, come to the valley. Be a great weekend.
Thank you, Senator Simpson. Further announcements? Seeing none, Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we will be reading some bills across the desk later today, so you do not need to return. On that note, Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 12 p.m. today.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, not the one no, and the Senate will stand in recess until 12 p.m. today.